I was 2 weekends ago. Walked into a Dunkies. There's one of them up in Santa Fe.
Donuts are my thing, bro.
I fucking love Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, I grew up on Dunkin' Donuts. You know,
I don't. They're not good for you, but occasionally I think you could treat yourself. Just treat yourself.
Yeah, fucking why
occasionally.
not? They got the giant donuts now. Dude, they sell giant donuts at Dunkin' Donuts.
Then I'm just eating one.
There's a giant Dunkies.
They have the old-fashioned giants?
They have the strawberry frosted.
The blueberry ones I like. The old-fashioned blueberry ones.
Up, yeah. With just like the clear frosting and it's got the blueberry cake.
Yeah. It's so delicious.
So this place is packed. This Dunkies gets like absolutely loaded up in Santa Fe early morning. Can't get a parking spot. Worst fucking parking lot you've ever seen in your life too. It's classic Dunkies, right? I go in there, line's fucking huge. Women are pissed off that are working behind the thing. It's all ladies crushing it, but they're pissed because it's like so early
Busy,
and their day is just like hammering them.
That's how it starts there. You got to expect that.
I walk in, I'm wearing one of the HDL shirts. This girl yells at me from behind the counter. She said, "Where did you get that t-shirt?" And everybody stops at the Dunkies because it's small, but it's packed.
Right.
So now everyone's a part of the conversation.
I love it.
And she says, "I want one of those shirts." I said, "You can get one from higherdensityliving.com. Go to the shop. We run a podcast. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. And we got a shitload of shirts. Choose whatever one you like." They're all writing it down. Everybody in that place knew who HDL was by the time I was done ordering donuts.
I love that. And everyone else too can go to higherdensityliving.com.
Yep.
And if we raise enough money, we need to do like a GoFundMe. I want to buy the HDL.com.
Who owns that?
I don't know. I should look and see how much it is. You know what GoDaddy will do where they'll tell you how much.
Yeah, I put the bid in.
You know, everything seems to be like $1,200. I don't know why. And all of life, it's like $1,200.
Everything's $1,200. Here's a good one. You ready for this? We're Tartle.co, right?
Yeah. Tartle.com.
Tartle.com's owned by this guy, whoever he is. He's been poaching this website. So I went to put in a bid. I said, "Listen, I'll give you $5,000 for it." He said, "No." I said, "Okay, $8,000." He said, "No." He said, "You can give me $50,000." And I said, "That's the best joke I've heard all year." I said, "Enjoy your letter M." That's it. See you, buddy.
What is on Tartle.com?
Nothing. It's just a parked page. He knows who we are, so he's just hoping one day we're going to buy from him. Yeah. Guess what, buddy? I don't think you understand how stubborn and patient I am.
It doesn't matter. It's like people can go to .co just as well as they can go to .gov.
It's one less letter to type.
Or, you know, like we have the higherdensityliving.org, you know, all that stuff. But so I want to get into something that I think is fun. I think this is the fun part of the raw material. So we have Carla, Dawn, and Jim.
My favorite
trio. The three trio. Yeah.
The triple threat.
This is 1981 through 1984.
Mm-hmm.
Raw materials are kicking. Going through super slow.
Can we do a little update? If you don't know what raw is, okay, if this is, you're just jumping into higher density living for the first time. Raw is a social memory complex, which was channeled by a lady who was in a trance state channeling with a group of two other individuals, one a scribe, one a questioner. And this was in Kentucky, the woods of Kentucky. And they were channeling this group and they put together a 5-part book, plural.
Yes.
5
we
books.
have them right over there.
Yeah, they're behind me. Or you can get them online, where all 5 books are condensed into 2.
You can get them for free.
Yeah, you can get them for free as PDF.
LO Research.
They're a fantastic group of people over there. But the point of it was this group, which is a highly evolved group, wants to teach us human beings some very essential values for our own evolution of mind, body, and spirit. Worth the read if you've never read it. If this is your first time hearing it, it's not a fucking coincidence because you're listening to the podcast. Okay,
exactly.
There we go. So, as you're saying, Jason, what's fun?
So, this is the fun part, is the terror that Raw did. And it's when you get into book 4 and you start reading it, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell? And this is like no other. If you've studied Terra, I mean, we've got a big deck here. We've got
these
some
fucking books.
I got advanced Terra books. I've got, you know, the giant
Rider White,
Terra deck.
Yeah.
All this stuff. The Raw Terra is totally different.
Completely.
You guys can't see that. We'll put them up on the screen.
Yeah.
Each of the pictures as we talk about them. But I want to kind of get into an in-depth exploration of the philosophy of what Raw was speaking about because this Terra philosophy is totally different than any of the others. So let's start with the archetypical mind. And
our typical mind or archetypal?
Archetypal, yeah.
Oh, because both
our typical mind.
Both would have worked.
Yeah, both would work.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think.
So the Terra, according to the law of one, is a pictorial representation of the archetypical mind. It is a level of consciousness shared by all humans. And I want to get into this. So let's stop right there and let's start.
Such a big statement.
I know.
It's
that's
such
why we're
a pain in the ass.
I'm going to break this statement down. So let's number one start with, and Raw talks about this, the commonalities among humans.
Okay. When you go into a great Hollywood film, what makes them a blockbuster?
The relation that you have to the story,
right? And who came
the hero,
the hero's journey, right? Why do you think Star Wars was such a big hit? Right? There's a gentleman who wrote a book. Now his name's fucking escaping me because I asked you the question. But the whole thing was to understand this journey, and it's the one story that works all the time. It's the one thing that every single human being at such a deep level has some sort of resonation with. That's why Marvel films, you could give a shit about Marvel. Iron Man, all that stuff. You could care less about the characters, or what happens in the film, but the journey, the hero's journey is the thing you connect with. Dune, hero's journey. Star Wars, hero's journey. Spider-Man, hero's journey. All of this stuff.
Yes.
Okay? Orpheus, hero's journey. Hercules, hero's journey. Every single one of these things. Interstellar. Matthew McConaughey, hero's journey.
Yes.
You feeling me on this?
Well, you could go to like murder mysteries, psych mysteries. It's the detective trying to figure out the serial killer.
Hero's journey.
Yeah, exactly.
All human beings, somewhere deep down, we know an evolutionary framework that gets us from point A to point B. And when we emotionally connect with that framework, we don't have to understand everything happening in the film, but we can feel into this thing we know so primordially deep, so encoded in our genetics, that thing, when you start to understand it better, is what you find here in the archetypes of the mind.
And despite our differences, all human beings share a set of common characteristics. And we talked about this last episode, experiences. That's what makes us human in this third density. So, and I think this is really important to understand the philosophy of this. Even our differences have an underlying unity.
What do you mean?
Because they are based on shared faculties that make comparison possible. So, let's give an example. The bond that you have when you're in war with someone. So war is horrific. It's horrible. It's
can you speak to this personally?
Yeah, I can speak to this personally. It's like when you have somebody that would be willing to die for you and you're willing to die for them.
Okay. What's
that
like?
And then you're going through perceived suffering, where you're working 7 days a week. There's no break. You're mentally taxed out. Everything is like you're on like rev, like the engine's going 10,000 RPMs.
Sure.
and then you're always, but there's this whole philosophy of service to others because you don't want your good friend that's next to you to die. So it's like if I give 70%, somebody could die. So it's my responsibility to give 100.
Because you are hoping that they give 100% too.
Yeah, exactly. There's this trust and everything that begins to happen especially when it's somebody's life. So there's this underlying unity. And it's based on a shared faculty. And that may be a horrible example. There's great ones whenever, let's use the opposite of that. I watched a whole program on the Amazon rainforest and what they're doing, with the logging and all that stuff. And I understand a lesser conscious person that can make money when your family is extremely poor and you can't eat.
Why
would you not make it? Why would you not chop these trees down, sell the lumber, and then make cattle farm? So it's easy for us to say this when where you have an 8 and your family has an 8 for days on end and see if you wouldn't do the same,
I know. I'm sitting here burning incense.
Yeah, just for fun. Yeah. But I want us to understand the commonalities among humans because it leads to, and I want you to talk about this, the importance of relating. And you mentioned movies, but we relate to art, we relate to music, and we relate to each other on a vibrational level.
We have to have some sense of comparison
Mm-hmm.
and relationship, because with that allows you to understand unity. Okay. You have to weigh things against it. If you don't have a comparative sense at a deep, deep level, you cannot understand if you did a good job. You cannot compare a past experience you've had to a new one, which you are experiencing right now.
Mm.
You'd always be walking in blind. You would never learn. You'd never get anywhere. You need comparative action of the mind to feel these things and understand the experience.
Right.
Understand others. Compare yourself to them. It doesn't mean you're separate from them, but you're comparing so that you can learn. They are a catalyst.
Yes.
Comparison,
Mm-hmm.
they come together. It's
Yes.
two halves coming together.
It's shared humanity.
That's what, yeah. And we're all doing that.
But don't you
comparison.
kind of think it's like, like raw is collective consciousness, sixth density.
Mhm.
Don't you think this small little bit, when we have these moments of shared humanity, is like a small version of that in our little third density?
It
You
is.
see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I think that's what it transcends the physical and becomes super spiritual, because we're tapping into something that's in a different,
Yeah.
you see, cosmic, level. So not only do we have commonalities among humans, we have the importance of relating, even from a global aspect. Now we can look at the creator and human diversity. So we are all part of the creator, but given the creator's intention, and this is a key word, of experiencing its own infantitude.
Yeah. It's
How do you say that word? Infantitude.
dude, it's,
That's the best word I could use,
I'm not even
because
gonna try and
infinity,
fucking use
but
it.
we must all be unique in some way.
Okay.
So let's unpack this, because this is important when we get into the archetypes.
All right. Say for a moment, you were like, I want to figure out how to learn, not as fast as possible, but as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I would take all these different copies of Alexander. Okay. But each one, I would give a distinct personality difference.
Yes.
And then I would send them on their way
Mm-hmm.
to go live a life. And then with those distinct paths or tracks of personality, I would then have them come back to me in the end and say, teach me everything you have learned.
Yes.
And I sit there and they all come around me. They all would sit around me and they'd be feeding into me all of these major values of life experience.
There's an Apple Plus show that's this.
Well,
It's a sci-fi show.
what is it?
But it's you clone yourself 3 times in different ages.
okay.
And then those 3, the 3 people, younger you, medium you, older you,
Yeah.
and then you can keep cloning yourself, and you keep gaining wisdom.
okay. It's
in those
fucking,
3 levels.
That's genius.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So here's,
Sorry to interrupt. I love sci-fi.
No, I know. I'm like,
And I know you do too, so you're going to go watch that.
no, it sounds great.
They're
So-
called The Empire.
Okay, the Empire. That sounds awesome. I've gone out and I want to learn as much as possible. I know that I am infinite. So there are an infinite amount of possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to take all these little pieces of me, these little copies, but with small changes, not tell them what to do, but let them go experience it
Mm-hmm.
and bring that back to me.
And that experience is what?
I'm never going to get through this episode.
I'm just pumped.
No, it should get you pumped up, but the creator knows its intention.
Mm-hmm.
Its intention is to learn. And his intention is to evolve. That's why us carry that purpose of learning and evolving.
Right.
We are a microcosm format of a macrocosm. We are a sliver. We are a part and parcel. We exist. This thing allows us to exist, to learn, to elevate its own existence,
Mm-hmm.
which is not separate from us. We are a piece of it. But in a sense, in a material sense, we're separate. But no, it is taking its overall energy and evolving it.
Yeah, that's why they always have like AI or the Matrix. Same thing. It takes these experiences to learn from them and then becomes smarter and smarter.
Right. But AI predetermines a lot of the experiences,
Yes.
where this is like, I will not predetermine anything. I will let you go about your way in your uniqueness. Be comparative.
Are different, as Raw would say, different groupings.
Yeah.
And so each group can be understood through the concept of the archetypal mind.
So Everybody has the same basic framework of existence. You're all given the same working material in the mind to then go make choices with a distinct personality trait to go make them in your own sort of way.
Yes.
So we all get to use these archetypes, essentially this, what do I call it? This toolbox.
Right.
Which I can go use to understand my experiences, but...
Which are these cards, whether it's the Fool or the...
What is unique is how I experience them.
Yes.
What is unique is what I understand from my perspective of these things.
So what makes this different than a religion? The uniqueness?
No. The religion says you do not need to consider these things that allow you to exist. You do not need to consider or challenge your thoughts. You don't need to evolve. You just need to not do any sins. You just need to be a good person only. Never do any bad stuff. You need to repent. You need to live in your past and not actually be in the moment. You need to have somebody else decide for you what your future is.
That's good, yes.
These things are totally, it is diametrically opposed to the structure of an archetypal mind.
Right.
Which is saying, here's your framework, not go forth and fucking multiply. Go forth and learn.
Right.
Go forth and experience. These things are not about saying our religion is better because we have more people going to heaven or wherever the fuck they're going to go. Okay. This here is about all of you are given the same material of existence. Go be the human being you need to be. Go do that. Go evolve. And do not let anybody tell you how to evolve because there is no best way. There is only the way for you. Okay?
So when we look at this mind, it's conceptual, but encompasses the non-conceptual, the physical and the spiritual as well. So we need to understand that you're not just dropping into, when we look at these cards, there's a spiritual aspect and a physical aspect to them.
Yeah.
It's not just, let me read your future. Let me get your Terra, oh, wow. This is what I'm going to do today. It's more than that. It's conceptual and non-conceptual.
Yeah. What happens is remember we talked about comparative? There are also relationships between these two things. The cards are broken down with Ra and these archetypes between mind, body, and spirit. And it counts to what? 22 cards in total, 3 rows of 7, 1 row of a non,
it's like the major arcana. Yeah.
Okay. These things have to be in relation because they're explaining 3 aspects of archetypes of a human being. It's mind, it's body, it's spirit. Each are connected between a physical and a non-physical world. They have to be there in the comparative relative sense. And that's why if you go through these and they show a card and it's something physical where I have a person sitting on a physical throne in between like a black and a white pillar, what is it teaching me? It's teaching me things about the material, security, squareness, geometry, life, the physical, the pose, the stance, but then the color differentials, the way it is facing. Now this starts to teach me immaterial things. This starts to teach me about the right or the left-hand path. It teaches me about polarization.
Right.
It teaches me more things from the archetype.
The emotional aspect of how I should be in that moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Why is the woman here on the potentiator of the mind, sitting on a throne? Why does she have a veil over her eyes?
Right, exactly.
But here's the thing. She can still see through the veil. It's somewhat transparent.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, just as...
But she sits dead center on top of a geometric block in between 2 massive columns, 1 black, 1 white. And why is it that only her right arm is the thing that is shrouded?
Right.
Why is the left exposed?
See, all of these are and we'll get into the symbolism, but one of the things is these serve as a framework akin to like a blueprint or an operating system that, and this is very important. It provides structure for the human experience. And we talked about the experience. That's why I wanted to get into experience. We need structure to our experiences because we're reactive in our experiences. We have no blueprint for, if we believe time is by our experiences,
Yep.
then why don't we have an operating system to handle the experience?
Correct.
And so this is what these are. Similar to how DNA provides a blueprint for the human body.
Right. This gives us a blueprint for the evolution of our mind.
100%.
That's what it is. And you can use these, and the more you understand them, the more you understand a blueprint for the archetypes, which we all share, which we can all use in different formats to continue to evolve. You can accelerate the evolution of the mind to better feed the spirit, to better give back at the end of your life to that thing which is the source.
Yeah, and these cards, just as DNA outlines the possibilities, it outlines the limits of our body.
Yeah.
So it helps us to be able to understand our third density experience.
There is a limitation because we are in the physical.
Right.
It's a consequence of being a material, fleshy bag walking around, making vibrations with the throat, and nonsense comes out of the mouth.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. That has to be there. So that's a framework. What is the framework of the mind? And then what happens when the combination of those frameworks come together? That is the design and the purpose of the archetypes, which Ra has, drawn up here.
Yeah. And I want to get into the evolutionary aspect of this because we're underlying and laying out philosophy now. So this archetypal mind is, in this context, is seen as a blueprint for human evolution and development. It's not static, but it's rather because, we look at the Bible or we look at a tarot card as being static. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the big problem with religion. I want to use two words that are really important. It's motion and becoming.
Yep. Because
those two words are what evolution is. So motion and becoming.
I am glad you're defining it.
Right.
Genetically, you're always going to evolve. There are chemical stressors on your environment. There are viruses which invade you, which cause you to make more DNA and have specific gene expressions. That's a physical thing. Those are physical catalysts coming in to the framework of your material by its design, by its genetically coded design.
Right.
Your mind can also receive these things in infinite variation. But how is the infinite variation of these 21 or 22 different things?
Right.
What do those look like?
Mm-hmm.
You're all served with the same amount of material and framework. But how is it that you want to bring these things together relatively and in a comparative sense to begin to move into that motion of evolution, which you talk about?
Yes.
Okay?
Well, I think they reflect the human will to evolve, grow, and change. And I think the reflect word is a good word because that's our whole idea. That's why we're put in service to others in evolving, growing, and changing. I mean, if you're not evolving, growing, and changing, that's the problem. And I'm trying to make a comparison with this. That's a problem with a lot of spiritual teachings is they're set in stone. Like, here's these tablets. Believe every single word that's on the tablet. Practice what's on the tablet. There's no, the tablet's a cool thing. And maybe it was channel material. Maybe it wasn't. Who knows? Maybe it was a guy that was had some old school mushrooms and just decided to write some shit that he was seeing. Mm-hmm. Who knows? We have no idea.
Yeah.
You can't judge. This is the problem I have when we start looking at, trying to make history off of pictures and symbols that people leave.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if our graffiti was the only thing left,
people would be so fucked in their consciousness.
They would have no idea. And then 1,000 years from now, people look back and they're like, well, let's base all of what was happening in 2023 based off of the graffiti we see.
They would say society was clearly insane.
Yes. Yeah.
And they don't exist
and I love
anymore.
Graffiti, it's beautiful and all that. But the hip hop culture does not represent human. So the petroglyphs we made doesn't, because that's what that is. If it lasted on the building, the concrete after we all gone, doesn't represent what truly was happening.
No.
So a guy riding an antelope, our Egyptian god, with the wheat chaff or whatever. Now, some of that we can see, and Ra talks about that very specifically, and we can look at other spiritual, but it's not set in stone. Nothing is set in stone.
Except for the hieroglyphs.
In fact, the fucking even then it's moving and atoms are going, it's evolving. It's just taking a lot longer.
It's just a shaped field.
But they could put a crystal inside of that motherfucker. Can make a diamond. All kinds of shit can happen.
Anything can happen with it.
Yeah. So I want to kind of look at this as a guide. So this mind as a guide. Once it's understood, it offers a unified, and believe it or not, as we get into this, a simplified approach to understanding human experience.
It doesn't tell you how to live, Jason.
No.
It tells you how to understand how you are living.
Yes, yeah. It gives you unity.
Yeah.
So anything that doesn't give you unity, disregard.
Absolutely. And what's interesting about these, they show you the interconnectedness of these things which you experience in this life, which is really cool.
Yes.
You can perceive them as separate, but in truth, one affects 7.
Yes.
7 is affecting card 14.
Yes.
Right? Like it.
And these are cool when we get into them. Ra uses the word clothe these archetypes, So like you showed the priestess card. Mm-hmm. Whenever you get into that, it's like you can put on this clothing. It's not that you become that, but you can share, like, maybe I need to be the emperor today because I need to lead well. You know what I mean? So I'm going to use that archetype. And what does the emperor look like? And I've studied it so I can look at all the symbolism and understand and know this is the direction that I need to go in. What is the cup? And what is the symbolism of the cup, in that card? And then you can take all of that, turn around and use that archetype in your daily life. Maybe I need to be the high priestess and have discernment and be able to make decisions better. So right now I'm going to be the high priestess in this Zoom call. You know what I mean?
It's cool.
So that's kind of how I look at them in a practical way. And Ra talked about that when Ra said, clothe yourself in these archetypes, that I'm like, I have these 22 variants. Like the Fool is a great example. We have that as, on our HDL. And you've talked about that a lot.
It's a card 22 or something.
It's like, stop fucking taking yourself so seriously, Jason.
Yeah.
It's 0, isn't it? Card 0. But
yeah, card 0 or card 22.
Yeah. And it's like, be carefree, relax. The Fool has the backpack with the dog, it's like, chill, relax. I always picture you like with the dog and the backpack, not giving 2 fucks.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I only need a few clothes. No big deal. Just hiking around the Swiss mountains.
I was telling man, I mean, like if something traumatic happened, she died, I'd just drift off into the woods naked.
Yeah. Just be done.
Society would never see me again.
I love that. So let's get into the concepts and the concept complexes.
Jeez.
So this is pretty heavy duty too, but we're making it easy here.
Are we?
Because this goes really heavy. Here we go. We're gonna make it easy but heavy. So, but Ra made it worse. Try to read book 4.
Buckle up, fuckers.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go. We're gonna let's do a side note. This is really cool.
Okay.
So you remember the movie with Bruce Willis with the asteroids?
Oh, great film.
Yeah. I forgot what the
Armageddon?
name was. Yeah, Armageddon.
How could you forget it?
So I was listening to this lady, and she does she talks to lots of corporations and stuff like that, and she's talked to every president. Like they have her as like a counselor type person. And so she was saying, she goes, what do you think the race for space is? She goes, it's money. She goes, do you know how much lithium and stuff like that
are in asteroids?
Yeah, are in asteroids. Mm-hmm. Do you know how much gold is in an asteroid?
Space
she goes,
mining.
She goes, yeah. She goes, all of it. The reason we're going to Mars, everything that we're doing. She goes, the solar panels that are satellites, because once you get out of the atmosphere, now you have infinite energy. She goes, all these corporations are looking at it, and it'll help us. Infinite energy would help society tremendously. Mm-hmm. Having infinite Wi-Fi, being able, no matter where you're at in the world, to have full service Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
It's super high speeds.
So
it creates education and learning. And
I can listen to HDL in the jungle.
Yeah, exactly. Or be at Oxford. You don't have to be at Oxford University. You can be in Thailand at a Buddhist temple.
Right.
And watching the professor.
Correct.
So I think all of these things are beautiful in and of themselves. And I think when we look at what corporations are doing, and this is just a side note, but what corporations are doing, we can look at it and say it's evil, evil, evil. But then at the same time, we can see all the things that we are blessed by. You know what I mean? So I choose not to be Pollyanna about it. Like, and there are some evil things that are happening, but then at the same time, I'm influenced in everything that I do every single day by these corporations.
Yeah.
This TV, this program we're using, recording this, all of this, the coffee that I'm drinking a 0 sugar Mountain Dew, which is probably horrible for you, but But this is a huge Coca-Cola. That's a huge, or Pepsi, whatever. That's a huge corporation. All of this, Dell computer, you have a Dell computer.
Yeah.
All of we're like hypocrites, these spiritual hypocrites, just hamming on corporations all the time.
No, because look.
And then using everything that
we operate one.
Yes, exactly.
We do. And there are material benefits to society that occur.
And I'm going somewhere with this when it comes to the mind.
And what does lack are the spiritual benefits. Corporations do not push that. Remember we talked about last episode, efficiency.
Yes.
Yeah, we have great material gains from it.
Mm-hmm.
But those advances in technology just means we accelerate the pace at which we kill ourselves and the earth. I'm still thankful for a lot of this good stuff. Being able to share this information because people were incentivized to make a buck,
right?
To make better tech. It's helpful. The question is, how are you using that technology? Is that going to be balanced? I'm beating a dead horse right now.
No, I think it's great. Well, my thing is, when we begin to work on ourselves, there comes a point, and Raw got into this because it was saying the reason that you study these things, and I should have had the quote here because it's a beautiful quote. He actually was like very poetic, which is rare for Raw. Raw's usually like to the point and mathematical. But he was saying the reason that you study these things is your ultimate high aim and high purpose is service to others. And it is showing love. And when we look at, it's so easy, and I do it constantly, and I've been really working on this, and this is the beautiful part about Raw and his teachings is it's like, how quickly am I to judge? Like constantly, I judge everyone. I look at somebody and I judge them.
Instant.
Yeah. Oh, they're pretty, they're ugly, they're fat, they're skinny.
They're an idiot.
Yeah, they're black, white, red, whatever. It's like, yeah, they're an idiot. They cut me off in traffic.
Yeah.
There is no service to others in the sense of instantly being able to have compassion. And like Jesus was a fourth density being, and he had that ability to look at the best in someone. Like he could be like, this is where you're going to evolve to. And I want to share that with you, and I want you to see who you really are.
You think about these archetypes. I remember when I was living in Philadelphia, there are a lot of people.
See, I want to judge that.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm telling you.
No, it's good. I used to watch struggles of, poor black families in the neighborhoods in North Philadelphia I used to live in. And, okay, before people fucking flip out in arms.
Oh, we all judge. We all have a form of racism in us.
Oh, yeah, before everyone flips out.
Yeah. This is, you're lying to yourself if you.
Yes, these people do not have the same opportunities.
100%.
I'm not talking about fucking economics here.
Right.
I befriended these families, had great relationships with them.
Right.
But I would also notice that troubles, which are repeating for them, outside of economic troubles, are repeated. And I've experienced the same problems, but in a different format. And no, I'm not talking about fucking economic problems, dude, right?
Or we've done like 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes on racism, so I'm not even worried about that.
No,
humans are humans, skin color.
So annoying.
If somebody's gonna,
I'm trying to make this clear.
We'll look at
how they are perceiving their problems. Yes, it could be specific to them being black in a white community. All those other things,
right?
But there's an archetype.
Yes, 100%.
Which I have experienced, not about being black in a white community, not that, but how the problems are perceived. And there are repeat things, which I noticed. And when you don't see, and it's like when I got to converse with them, I could meet them at a point.
This is good.
Not because I've lived in their shoes, but I lived a problem, which was archetypal in a sense that could be understood and shared between both. We could find some sort of camaraderie in between it, even though we're living two totally different existences. And the problems are different, but the main theme is the same. Does this make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
Gosh, I don't know why it's so difficult to get out, because I can see people yelling right now.
Yeah, it's all that. It's the shallow mind, not understanding.
Yeah.
I don't know the intent of your heart. And it's so funny when you go into different cultures, different communities, different, there's global racism, there's global slavery, there's global, it's in every society. If there's humans, there's going to be polarity
all the time.
And so there's going to be hatred as much as there is love.
Yeah.
And the beautiful part about understanding this and studying the archetypical mind is and I want people to understand, it's not a shortcut to enlightenment, and it's not the ultimate secret of life.
Nope.
Instead, it's a resource for developing your will.
Yeah, which you still have to work towards.
In your free will, you have to develop it.
Read the raw material. It does not give you all the answers to all these.
No.
They say you need to figure them out.
And it's going to be different for each individual.
Precisely. They will not tell you explicitly what it is.
They ask. Don and all them was just hitting them up over and over again. Like, we all want like the Bible. We all want a Bible. Let's just follow these and then we're good to go. That's why we look to politicians and everybody else. And there's no secret of life. There's no shortcut. There's no pill you can take. There's none of these things.
Life is obvious.
Yes. And I think why we study this is it suggests that this study simplifies and unifies one's vision of human experience. It helps in personal evolution and can be a step towards initiation where one may offer pure service to others.
Boom. Because why?
That's what it's.
You're spending so much time doing the work on you that when you engage with others, they can be catalyzed by the experience of being in your vicinity. Well, having conversations with Jason.
Yeah, and I liked it in an advanced form. I like it. It's like, this person, I need to balance the polarity right now. Here's a negative emperor coming at me right now, a negative leader. That's my boss.
Hey.
So, I wasn't even thinking about you. I was thinking about like a person.
You know why? Because we don't think about boss. There's none of that bullshit.
That. Yeah. I don't even go in that arena at all. So how do I, in this conversation, I want to have service to others, but I also need to have, because learn, teach, learn, I also need to have self-balancing. And so the archetypes help you with that because you can drop into that. You can clothe yourself into that.
Ooh.
And have that polarity.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I'm going to have a meeting later this afternoon, and there's going to be a person in that meeting that's going to be super negative.
It's
so I need to be over polarity. You know what I mean? I need to make sure that I'm not agreeing with the negativity. I'm not allowing that negativity to influence the room.
Yeah.
That I'm going to bring the opposite polarity to that. And sometimes, and you're really good at this too, sometimes if somebody's too Pollyanna, too positive, we need to bring some logic and rational.
Absolutely.
So that's the polarity, if that makes sense.
That's correct. And when you look at these archetypes too, they have visuals on them. Remember you said you got to clothe some things?
Mm-hmm.
When you get to card number 17, Catalyst of the Spirit, there is no clothing.
Yes.
It shows a human without clothing.
I like that.
But everything else is a very unique outfit.
Right.
Stating something, and the outfits develop over time as you get to the point when you start to leave the body and move into the catalyst of the experience, a catalyst of the spirit. It's really,
that's super cool.
Really fucking awesome.
And I think these concepts, they exist, and I'm going to use a word, and this seems like heretical in nature, but it's our local logos.
Whoa. What do you mean?
So, logos is the word, it's speaking out creation.
Mm-hmm.
We each have that as creators. We each have that local logos. So we need to be careful in these archetypes that we're not impeding on in service to others, that we're not impeding on somebody's free will.
Absolutely.
Because we are creators.
Mm-hmm.
And when you begin to say, oh shit, I'm going to step into this room and be the high priestess, I'm going to put love and light and service to others in this, I'm going to balance out the polarity, because I think real practical with all this, I'm going to balance out the polarity. Now I have a ton of influence all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
So I can begin to influence the room, and then now I'm going against people's free will.
Don't abuse it.
That's the other side of it.
You can create pain. You can create strife.
Yes.
You can create unbalance. You are given all of those options. Do not abuse that great level of power.
Right. And I like to think of each of the archetypes as having an energy. Because we like collective consciousness are like a certain energy. Rudolf Steiner talks about this. You can have a Luciferian energy, all these different things, and even like we have here's Saint Michael. Like the archangels have an energy.
Yeah,
that type of thing. They're not. It's not like a real angel like hanging out.
No.
It's just an energy, a higher energy being that somebody has put our third density wording to, and this is kind of the same thing in third density. This kind of helps me understand, why does the lady have a hand in the lion's mouth?
Right.
You know what I mean? So once I began to understand that, and then shutting the lion's mouth, once I began to understand this card fully, and we're going to get into each card, and we're going to start with card number 1.
22 episodes in a pipe.
Yeah. That 22 is not that much. We did, which I have some new material from
White Sands
from White Sand, dude.
Oh my God.
I haven't showed you that book, have I? The old one that I got?
No.
Oh, dude. That's going to be 52 episodes now.
Can't wait. What did I say last time? Buckle up, fuckers.
Yeah, exactly. So let's close in this. Let's be done because I have like 22 more pages of notes. I wanted to get into the structure of the archetypical mind, the grid, but we'll do that. We can do that in time.
I just had like a fucking epiphany looking at the matrix of the mind card. Like it's actually, it's staggering.
What do you think when you think of, and I don't want to talk about these cards, but what do you think of when you think of like human evolution in the form of using these spiritual teachings to teach, learn, teach? Like in your mind, like what, Alexander, like what do you think human evolution looks like? For humanity, for you personally, whatever resonates with you. I was asking this question like why? Basically like what's the point? Why?
I feel like asking me that makes me feel like a nihilist for a second.
Well, I mean, if that's the...
No. You can't... Well,
here's where I came to. It's the human's expression of who am I?
Yeah, it
all boils down to that.
It's a flower that unfolds. Mm-hmm. Now, look at all of us. We cannot help but strive for more.
That's a good word, strive.
We can't help ourselves. We literally fucking cannot do it. Now, when you ask me how I see human evolution,
I'm looking something up. Go ahead.
We have been striving for the material. We have been striving for things which are non-permanent. We have been striving for technology. But the one thing, Jason, we have not striven for is understanding. And with that, we are currently now, today, at this moment, feeling the pain of a lack of understanding. Mm-hmm. We are painting our world in flames. We are painting our friends and family. We are painting countries because we are not striving, and we have not striven for things that were of actual value. And we became addicted to striving for the material. And anybody who's ever been addicted to anything knows it's very difficult to kick an addiction. But if everything about your life, everything that's been framed, every waking moment you have been up, seeing the world, inundated with information, they tell you to strive for the material. Your perspectives, your view on everything is for more. But the one more you have left behind, and I say you to all of humanity, is understanding. It's the one thing you haven't chosen to do because it is the most difficult thing to strive for. And when I view our human evolution, we have asked for this pain. Mm-hmm. Every single moment we have made these choices leading us to this moment. Blame the cosmos, blame everyone else, but every single time we have asked exactly for every forest fire, For every bomb dropped, for every drop of bloodshed, we have asked for that. We have begged for it as a society.
Well, look at Ra was walking among the Egyptians, and look what happened.
Yeah.
We've got alien technology, and look what we did with it.
We always strive for the tech. We take these paths of least resistance, which are actually so incredibly harmful to our evolution. We are not potentiating ourselves to understand more. We are not striving for that as Earth humans. And when you do that, you are all killing each other. You are lacking that understanding. You are slowing your own evolution and others. And so when you ask me, Jason, what do I see here for human evolution? I see pain. We felt a lot of it. We will continue to feel much, much more because we have asked for this. We have asked for a compression of all of these probabilities into one crowning moment. And it's going to give us a choice in a moment of extreme pain when you cannot go back, but you reflect on all of those things. And now you start to see it. This is going to be the moment for us. And will you at that moment make a choice to understand, or will you continue to strive for the thing that has been killing you and removing that understanding?